This is Airtime with Ronnie Klassen. Malaysia is privileged to have one of its own sons, and all the way from Tan Sri Sabah, who has been appointed the ambassador to the Vatican in Italy. 2 to 3 million Christians in Malaysia today are privileged and honored that Malaysia has finally had the first ambassador in the Vatican. With me this morning is the newly appointed Malaysian ambassador to the Vatican, none other than His Excellency Tan Sri Bernard Dompok. Welcome to the show, Tan Sri.
My pleasure.
Let me ask you the first question that we have this morning, Tan Sri. As I mentioned earlier, we have approximately 2 to 3 million Christians in Malaysia. Now, the aspirations of the Christians in Malaysia, other than being privileged and honored that we finally have our first ambassador in the Vatican, what are your thoughts and what are your plans in Vatican the moment you report for duty?
Well, thank you very much, Ronnie. My appointment as Ambassador of Malaysia to the Holy See, I think people are getting familiarized with the term Holy See because they ask me what is the difference between the Holy See and Vatican City and Rome. So I have to explain to them that the Holy See is the body of world Catholicism, which is at a count 3 years ago, which I saw something like 1.2 billion Catholics.
Yeah.
So this is the body that you call the Holy See. And then you have Vatican City. And my simple analogy of Vatican City is that this is the Putrajaya of the Holy See. So the Pope and the offices and the basilicas that are headquartered at that Vatican City, and therefore that's really the capital of the world Catholic body. So I will be ambassador to the Holy See, and it's going to be in Rome. Now the reason why it is in Rome is because the Vatican City is only a land area of about 100 acres within the city of Rome. So it is therefore a small city-state, and the Pope, in terms of governance and in terms of the description of the Vatican City as the capital of the Holy See, it is really an absolute monarchy. Yeah. Okay. So my appointment is by the government of Malaysia. I had received from the King of Malaysia my latest credential, which I'll then present to the Pope. I received it on the 17th of March, and I'm leaving on the 16th of April to go to
Quite soon, yeah.
to go to Rome. Now, it is a government appointment, and I represent the government of Malaysia, and therefore, while I am appointed as ambassador with ministerial status, I'm not actually a member of the cabinet, and you represent a country, and you don't get to churn out your own policies. You're looking really at what is the position of the country on any given issue at that time, and you present that. This is not to say that you totally have no say in some of the things that we stand on, because I think ambassadors all over the world are the resource people for the country to find what should be the appropriate response to a certain issue, what is the stand of the country on certain issues and all this. So definitely inputs will be given coming out from ambassadors. My initial look at my role there certainly shows that it's a very interesting appointment in the sense that we are really starting on a clean sheet of paper, and it's time to see what is out. So I always believe on picking the low-lying fruits, and those that are immediately available for you to dwell on. And of course, immediately available is what are the things that we have in common with Vatican City, for example. And I think in my little discussion with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Prime Minister, and I think certainly there are still a lot of grounds between the stand taken by the Holy See and the Vatican in certain issues that has worldwide significance. For example, what the Pope has pronounced on issues like caring for the downtrodden and all this. Certainly, this is within the realms of what we are doing in the country, and all the policies in the country are geared towards uplifting the standard of people, so that you don't need to migrate to other parts of the world in order to find a living in Malaysia. And I think it's common. The Pope recently came out with some statements regarding refugees from the wars in the Middle East and all this. And I think we were facing the same problem, So we therefore have, experience in this, and we have input in this. Okay. I think the second part is to recognize that we come from a country that is multi-religious, multicultural, and therefore the challenges are there for us to get our act together in order to make everybody feel that they have a place under the Malaysian sun. And I think this is what we should be working at. So one of the problems that we have here, of course, is understanding of religion between the many varied cultures, as I mentioned. And I feel sure that this is something also that the Holy See, the Church in Rome is interested also to see how we get to see a solution to some of the outstanding religious issues. And I think these are fertile grounds for us to be able to take part in the world conversation in these issues. I think if you look at what has been pronounced over the years, even by the Prime Minister of Malaysia itself, that we are a country of moderates. And I think a lot of people want to take him on his word in this. So therefore, we want to enlarge in that, and see how we can really make it happen the way it has been announced to the rest of the world. Now, I think part of our duty, of course, I think is to look at this very issue. So really, you are talking about getting religious dialogues, people understanding each other. Just recently, I received a phone call from Bishop Bernard Paul from the Archdiocese of Melaka, Johor, Johor Bahru, on the plight of Christians, teachers, who had to work on Easter Sunday, because Sunday is no longer public holiday in Johor.
Yes,
it's a working weekend, and so they had this problem. So of course I asked, I tried to call the Menteri Besar Johor he was not able to talk to him. But I told him the problems and all this. So, and the bishop himself had come out in the social media to expand on this, and I think part of the problem was probably solved. But why I'm mentioning this is because this is the sort of thing that we want to dispel in the minds of people. You know, Easter Sunday is the most important Sunday in the Christian calendar.
Yes.
In many ways, it's even bigger than Christmas. Yeah. So if people understand that, then there would be no qualms about giving an unofficial holiday, perhaps a special permission for people to go out and do the religious obligations of such a day. So this type of understanding that we need to bring it to focus. And also for Christians, they have to understand other people's religion. They have to understand what the Buddhists believe, what the Muslims believe, what other people, probably people who do not have a mainstream religion to hang on to. And so we have to understand all this.
Now, Tan Sri, correct me if I'm wrong. We would think that you are probably the only person who has met two popes on two different occasions, two different popes. How did you feel within you meeting two popes previously and now being made the ambassador?
Well, I've actually met the last three popes.
Oh, okay.
I met Pope John Paul, who is now sent, twice when he was alive. One with a delegation of ministers from a few countries. That was in sometime in 1990. Then later on with Tun Mahathir, met him. That time the Pope wasn't so well already. The third time was when I went to the funeral on behalf of the Malaysian government. That's Pope John Paul. Pope Benedict, I met him with Dr. Sri Najib when we discussed diplomatic ties and conveyed to His Holiness the decision by the Malaysian government to establish diplomatic relations with the Vatican, and so that was the second Pope I met. Now, when Pope Benedict resigned, it's not very often that the Pope resigned, but we are seeing something that happened 1,000 years ago today. But when he resigned, then Pope Francis became the Pope, and I had the greatest privilege to be representing the country, to be at the first inaugural Mass by the Pontiff. So I've met all the last three popes. So this would be my second meeting with Pope Francis when I present my latest credential. Now, how do I feel meeting the popes? Of course, you do feel something that is different when you meet holiness itself, and I feel that it's to a lot of people it's an image that you see on television and all this, but when you do actually to meet the man, then I think the feeling is a feeling of the first one in awe, and then the feeling that okay, here you are, you're meeting a human person who has been devoting his life into religious matters and how to live a life that will enable you or qualify you to be accorded something fantastic in the life thereafter. I think these are thoughts running in the mind of a person meeting religious people, that you are in awe that they can come to that close to the Creator. So that would be the feeling, I think, for us.
Okay, Tan Sri, back to where you actually started off. Being a politician, we are aware that you have retired out of it in your political party. Right? In the last general election, what in your mind contributed to your loss against the current incumbent, Darrell Laki?
Well, I've not been tempted to dwell on it too much, except cursorily, and I have declared quite publicly that I have deleted all those. in the words of the chat room, I have deleted from my mind all those, because I think we have to get into Malaysia a practice, people accepting things, because here in this country, after every election, there's always something to blame, somebody to blame. If not the person, not the opponent, blame the system. It's just like, you want to become like the Philippines, where nobody loses an election. He's always cheated. So I decided after the law, I said, well, I'm not going to make that type of assertion, and I don't have that type of feeling anyway. But I think we are seeing a change in Malaysian politics. That after more than 50 years of Malaysia, we are seeing something changing, that people are not tied down to past alliances, past personal relationships and all this, and they like what you're doing perhaps, but they begin to think, what would be on the other side of the fence? That's what people say. Okay, so they're interested to see what's on the other side of the fence, and I think I have no quarrel with that. It's your position in public life is something that's given by the people, and I think if I go around and said, you feel like the whole world has disappeared for you in your life, I think that's truly that would be representative of not understanding what your position in public life is, because you see, you don't own that job. It's not something that like a company brought down from generation. No, you don't own it, So there should not be that feeling of extreme sadness, and trying and assign what are the reasons. No, people have changed their mind on certain things, and they're thinking about other things. And I think in a democracy, it is good to allow this type of thinking, because it can only produce, perhaps in the future, a lot of right-thinking people who will want to devote their time in public life, and also for people to be able to exercise their fundamental right as citizens of a democracy. And I think we have to encourage democracy to survive.
Final question, Tan Sri. You nurtured and brought UPKO into the political fraternity in the country. What would be your parting words before you assume the responsibility as the ambassador to the Vatican? What would be your parting words to UPKO, particularly in Penampang, right, in preparation for the 14th general election?
Well, I just want to remind them what I've been telling them in the past, that you joined a political party for a purpose. Why did you join? Is it because you wanted a project? Is it because you are looking for blue tanks? No one.
Yeah.
So I mean, it has to be a conviction of joining. You know, so I'm saying to the party members that you should be steadfast in whatever conviction you have, and be happy with whatever outcome you have. But you must do your best. You try to do best in the time that you're given, and the facilities that is offered to you. Now, beyond that, it is not your decision at all. It's for the people. So you must be happy that you have participated in the movement that is set up to do good, and you want to contribute towards that. You want to ensure that you have something to offer, and that you can make the party better.
Okay, thank you very much for being with us this morning.
My pleasure.
We wish you all the best in your journey to the Vatican, and we sincerely hope that the 3 million Christians in Malaysia will be able to count on your assistance and support while there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Very much.
That was His Excellency Tan Sri Bernard Dompok. We're happy that Tan Sri had agreed to be with us this morning, and we wish him all the best. This is Airtime with Ronnie Klassen. Stay tuned in our next talk show. Goodbye.